Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. How's everybody tonight? I don't know if Mr. T is going to be on or is on Sean Hannity. I don't subscribe to Fox, but I do watch their things they put on YouTube, Mr. Gutfeld, and everything like that. So we got a lot to talk about. Out for Justice. What am I talking about with that? Well, not just the way we normally want to be out for justice, but what they're doing with Jim Justice, his family. They're out for him. Hi, Sandy. How are you? And I got some big news. We're all getting big news. Hi, Damon. But Nikki sent me an article, and I was checking to see if there was anybody going to make a comment on it on the other places that I go. But and I'll cover it. I'll read it to you. It's where the policy on this platform that I'm on, it's you and the rest is Tube, is removing their ban on discussing elections. So that's why I put that title in there. Disturbance in the Farce. So I'll get into that. And also, I should have put that in my title. I might have changed my title. Some SCOTUS stuff that's coming out that I think was the Washington Times. I copied the article. I'll read it to you. They've got some big cases that are not being reported on. And you know that's really got them nervous when they try to keep quiet about stuff. We know how they operate. Hi, Donna. How are you? Linda. Miss Mendersu, Georgia, Wanda, Robin, how are you, honey? I was wondering where you've been. I'm glad to see you. I want to talk about, what am I going to talk about? Something that happened that you will be able to corroborate with me concerning these characters that run around from state to state causing problems, and they're known as antifizzle, wearing masks. And Andy No did a report on some of them that got charged. The ones that were based in the woods in Georgia trying to stop that police station. And I've reported in the past that on Facebook, they put out a big thing. Oh, everybody get off Facebook with antifizzle because the Fibby F.B.I.'s been tracking us on Facebook, and they all got off of Facebook. Well, back in 1968, after the Chicago Convention, and Robin will vouch for me on this, they passed a federal statute. If you go from state to state with the intent to riot or cause trouble, that's a federal offense. And nobody's been talking about that. That's been on the books since after the election. And when Kennedy was president, if you go interstate rowdy business, causing trouble with the intent to riot or cause public disturbances, you go to jail, you go to the big house. It's kind of like a 10-year minimum or something like that. Well, that's what these antifizzle characters have been doing. That's exactly what they've been doing. So anyway, that's in the hopper. A pre-existing law. I think we heard something about that on the 17th letter. But now they got that out of the way. Thanks for tuning in, Robin. I would maybe have forgot about it because it's buried so far in my electronic notes that I have. So my chats are froze up. Come on. I hope I'm coming through clear. Yeah, I don't see any. There we go. It's moving now. Hi, Simpson. Lori, how are you? As always, me. Hi, how are you? Mike Taylor News. Use a 4 in the NAZIS word, Mike. A 4 for an A. It looks just like it, but it throws the rhythm off. With sensitive words. just because they put out a bulletin saying that we can talk about this selection now, I don't really trust them. The article, I'll have to, it's a reputable source. I think it might have been the Gateway Pundit. I'll pull it up in a little bit. So, yes, right, B-Dog, busting them around and gotcha. It's just like the pipe BOM beer, all right? I'm sure most of you have heard, but in case anybody hadn't heard, they've tracked that person right down to a private residence in Virginia outside of D.C. What car they rode in. They have photographs of the person's face that can be ran through facial recognition. In other words, they know who put those out there. The question is, what's anybody going to do with that? Thank you, Mike. Anyway, is Mr. T doing a part 2 on Hannity tonight? I get conflicting information. I'm not sure. Oh, right now, got me yesterday for a week. You made a video 2 minutes long. Oh, well, you got to be careful, Mike. Keep that in your mind. So we want to protect our channels, protect my channel. You know how it works. Hi, Lone Wolf. How are you doing? Hi, Wanda. So anyway, I'm waiting to see if Nikki tunes in. Nikki might be watching Mr. T on Hannity. I don't know. So let's see. We're pretty good into the live stream. If I was getting reviewed, I noticed one question a person asked Mr. T, and it was kind of a statement and a question. I thought it was very rude, but I guess it had to come out at some point. And Mr. T handled it very delicately. But I know what the real answer is. And I'll review it with you. To paraphrase the question, it was something like, we've lost millions of people because of the thing you get in your shoulder. Why did you push for people to get the thing in their shoulder? And Mr. T said, well, people were jumping up and down for it. And we had to get it through as quickly as possible to get things opened back up. And it was going to happen sooner or later, Well, I can't verbatim say his answer, but the bottom line is people have to remember before they throw rocks at Donald J. Trump was that they didn't even announce they had it ready till the day after the election. They didn't even announce an approval for it. And after he left office, less than 90 days later, they did a lot of other stuff. A lot of different companies started making stuff with different ingredients that were kept confidential. And we still don't know what they are. None of that happened under Mr. T. And if he didn't come through and get something approved and left office and they drug out the approval process, they drug it out and drug it out. Like Mr. T said, the cure can't be worse than the disease. He brought up alcoholism. He brought up suicides. He brought up closed businesses. He brought up economic devastation. That's what we would have had. If he would have left the office before there was one approved, they wouldn't have got one approved for years. So people need to calm down about that and use their heads and quit going to the, I'm not talking about anybody listening to the broadcast, but if somebody does tune in that has that attitude, They got to think with strategy in mind, because this business of just get everybody, round them up and put them all in jail, and like people been saying for the past 5 years, you can't do that. It couldn't be done. We didn't even know who half the actors were. Now we're finding out every day how many rotten apples are in this big old barrel. And we'd have never found out if we didn't take the course we took. And if he didn't get something approved before he left office, they would have drug it out. Because the design was to shut businesses down. The design was to get people to come for a $1,200 relief check. How are you going to get people to eat bugs? With commercials? Remember the story I told about Stalin? It was a snowy day, right? Him and a friend are out on a bench, and there's snow on the ground and some chickens running around. And one chicken kept coming around Stalin's feet. He'd go down to reach for it and it'd run away, and it would come back. And the friend was talking to him and said, "You have been so horrible and cruel to the people, but they love you. I don't understand. How do you do it?" And Stalin said, "It's easy." And just then the chicken got close to him again. He reached down and grabbed it by the neck, and he ripped every feather off that chicken and threw it out in the snow. It got up and ran around a little bit. In a very few short minutes, it was right between his legs, keeping itself warm. And he looked at his friend and said, "See how that works?" So, yeah, the jab had to get approved. And that's just the tip of it. That's just the tip of it. Because that made me mad, the way that person asked the question in the first place. And I am glad that nobody is bringing it up on mainstream media. Other point to that is, how many times does Mr. Trump have to say something before it's in people's heads? Because, first of all, when he does say something, you better listen, because what they've been doing in the past and are continuing to do is, if they let him say something and it's worthwhile or he makes a point, they don't repeat it, they don't play it again, or as Twitter did, they'll take his message down. But he did say, when he got out of the hospital for COVID, that he took Regeneron, okay? And he said, "I view that the same as a VAX." And he brought up other things. And he told people to talk to their doctors. Okay? They covered up the message, and they covered up doctors' messages. So, yeah, under the circumstances, with a desperate worldwide power that is, as he has said many times, vicious, he had to do what he had to do. And he said we were at war, WAR, okay, with an invisible enemy. So do people need a building to fall in on to take a hint? Take a hint? When he went up on the back steps of the White House after he got out of the hospital, and he stood there solitary by himself, and what did he do? He yanked that mask off with a chest out, and he saluted. More does a man have to do, because he had everybody against him, everybody. So anyway, that's my rant about that question, and how people can't get through their heads why he did what he did. He was in a box, remember? They had a trick box. That's called a trick box. They had total control of the narrative. I'm sorry, let me check the chats out here. And Mike, you're a dangerous. Oh, and see that word because CONSPR. I'll tell you, Mike, you gotta take some of those keywords and use a number for a vowel because you just got the business. Okay, so protect my channel. Don't let them give me the business. Use a 4 for A's and touchy words or names. I haven't seen you in a while, Mike. But when you come back in, you just blurting out stuff that's a little bumpy. Let's see. Hi, Nikki. You made it. It's nice to see you. Not sure about Hannity. I don't think he's on there tonight, Georgia. I don't know. Hi, Diane. How are you doing? Jersey Joe. Hannity was bad mouthing Mr. G years ago. Yeah, Fox is digging themselves a hole. And Mr. T put it out there. Their viewership's down 36%. They better wise up. But there's replacements. Newsmax is coming in strong. A lot of them. We just got to get it down to good old fashioned honest competition, quality news that will bring people. Bless you too, Diane. I appreciate it. And yes, please hit the thumbs up. I thank everybody for hitting the thumbs up. I know everybody that's listening right now has already given me a thumbs up. Hi, Lucy. I said hi to Sin Sin, didn't I? Well, I'll say it again. Ha ha. Hi, Outlandish. How you doing? Pappy Two Bears. How you doing? Where's Camper Man? Last time I was on live stream, I said, this is Mountain Man over and you know what? OUT. And right when I did that, he hit the button. He put up a comment. Hi, I'm here. So I didn't get to say hi to him. But so anyway, I want to say hi to him. How's the prayer wars doing? Today was a good day. That's great. Oh, well, if they don't have to put that in them, you don't, if they don't have to, if you can avoid that tube and get to regular eating, that'd be great. Well, I'm tired of saying it myself. Tired of it. Tired of it. Every single broadcast. Hello, Explore America. How you doing? I played one of your clips the other night, Red. So I'm just looking through the chats. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Put that target in there. Oh, Mr. T was on for 15 minutes, Nikki. Okay. All right. We'll see what he has to say. Oh yeah, Jamie Foxx. I got him on the list to talk about. Yeah, it's pretty all but confirmed that he had a paralytic stroke, that he's lost some of his vision, is what not for sure confirmed, but everybody's talking about it. And like Mike Tyson said, if nobody's talking about it, they don't want you to know what's going on. And the question is, who is they with the quote marks on it? They. That's right. Magma. Em said, "How you doing, Em?" No, he's not DAD. Red. He's paralyzed and partially blind. That's the rumor. That's the word on the street. Yeah, Reba, they did, and I've said it on the show this morning. We got to think of another. Mr. T is calling us Magadonians. Magadonians. And I put Magamites, M-I-G-H-T. We got might. We're the Magamites. What the? So. All right. Hi, Digital Hawk. How you doing? Let's see. So anyway, the Luciferian. That's right. The hilarious too. That's right. Hi, Gary. How are you? Megalodon. Megalodon. Maga Well, I was kind of liking them Magamites as an Might, Magamites, like mighty. The Magamites against the. This is another word that I can't use, so I got to break it up. Sodom and the other part is ides. They don't let you use that on Facebook, even though it's in a lot of other books. So, yeah, we're biding time. I'm falling and I can't get up. Well, anyway, Nikki sent me an article, and like I said, I was checking out whether or not it was going to be mentioned in by anybody on True Social, or and I didn't. I checked it out and I didn't see any YouTube videos, but it says that they have UTizzle has taken down thousands of videos because of talk about election stuff. So let me see that article. YouTube reverses course on election misinformation censorship. YouTube has reversed course on the platform since December 2020. The Google subsidiary has thoroughly censored what they deemed, quote, misinformation. So allegedly, they are turning that ship around. Let me read the rest of it. Another part of it. YouTube posted to the blog. We first introduced a provision of our elections misinformation policy focused on the integrity of past U.S. presidential elections in December 2020, once the state's safe harbor date for certification had passed. Safe harbor date? Okay. That's when they look up these little nuances in the law, try to beat people over the head with it. But anyway, 2 years later, tens of thousands of video removals, and one election cycle later, we recognized it was time to reevaluate the effects of this policy in today's changed landscape. Yeah, you're right. The landscape's changed. For one thing, Carrie Lake is appealing her decision, and she put that video out, government video. They go on to say, in the current environment, we find that while removing this content does curb some misinformation, it could also have the unintended effect of curtailing political speech without meaningfully reducing the risk of violence or other real world harm. No kidding. Does that mean I get my original channel back? Does that mean Nikki's video, they take any videos they took down hers get put back up? Huh. So let me see what else they said. I'd like to have my other channel back. With that in mind, and with 2024 campaigns well underway, we will stop removing content that advances false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in the 2020 and other past U.S. presidential elections. This goes in effect today, Friday, June 2nd. As with any update to our policies, we carefully deliberated this change. So today's a big day, folks. Today's a big day. We can talk about what they say, how they word false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in the 2020 election. I can falsely claim 81 million votes is idiotic. Okay, I can claim that now. Okay, I can make that false claim. The blog announcement elaborates that certain policies will remain in place. All of our election misinformation policies remain in place, including those that disallow content aiming to mislead voters about the time, place, means, or eligibility requirements for voting. False claims that would materially discourage voting, including those disputing the validity of voting by mail, and content that encourages others to interfere with the democratic process. Okay. I don't know who would do that. As a result of this censorship operation, alternative platforms such as, now this is not YouTube, this is the person writing the article. That was YouTube's statement that I just read you. Now the person writing this article says, as a result of the censorship operation, alternative platforms such as Rumble have exploded under the banner of, quote, free speech. It is unclear, if any, what impact this shift had on the decision to reverse course. In other words, they were feeling the burn, kind of like the Bud Light burn and the Target burn. They were losing market share. The Gateway Pundit has been involved in several cases regarding censorship on social media platforms after being mentioned numerous times as purveyors of quote, mis and disinformation in the election integrity partnerships, quote, the Long Fuse Report. The EIP had been tied to organizations contracted with government entities to flag certain claims online and report them to social media platforms via a third-party NGO. So these third-party NGOs was paying to have people cause trouble and flag content and take down tens of thousands of videos and people's channels. Like mine. So I had to open this one up. So conservatives are looking for ways to boycott and move away from woke corporations. The Gateway Pundit's Brian Lupo was banned from YouTube in 2021 after a hit piece from Media Matters made claims against several channels that were covering the 2020 Arizona audit in Maricopa County. Oh, well, maybe Junior's got a lawsuit there. Oh, okay, well, so I guess we can, as long as we don't, whatever their guidelines were, they've been relying mostly on, if I say anything about people that dress ways that I think is funny, or they have their hair a certain color, those kind of people, then they say I'm bullying or whatever. So we got to put up with uh, the days of Noah for people. So anyway, so at least we can, if they are to be believed, we can relax a little bit. But of course, there may be some employees out there or some people with these paid NGOs that don't get the message that still have their finger on a button. Resident, he hit his head getting off Marine One. Is that after he fell down? So anyway, that was thank you, Dickie, for sending me that article. Speaking of the people that dress funny, uh, Matt Gaetz had a family-friendly drag show at Nevada Air Force Base canceled. And right after Millie stepped down, uh, they put out a statement that they weren't going to be having any more of those. None of those sponsored by the armed forces. Isn't that strange? It seems to me that like there's a number of people either voluntarily or forcibly getting the heck out of Dodge. Millie's one of them. And it's bye-bye drag shows. I mean, the day he leaves. And then Mike Lindell put out something today about the clerk in Maricopa County's not going to seek re-election. They're stepping down. That's big news. So, yeah, it's getting a little shaky for some of the creepos we never knew existed. And it's taken us 2 years to pry them out of the woodwork and see it with our own eyes. But more importantly, for the people that never thought anything was wrong, to start looking at the situation going, what in the world is going on? What kind of shenanigans and criminality do we have going on in our government? People that never thought it was this way. Now, in my last broadcast, I talked about a certain place in New Jersey. And I talked about it a couple broadcasts before that I said was the real second White House for the Trump administration. And that's up there in Jersey, right? So I talked about how when Admiral Rogers came to Trump Towers and informed Mr. T that they were spying on him, that's where the whole operation packed up that day, and the next day they were in at Trump's property in Jersey. Well, that's what has come out, and I said, well, they're not going to go near that because that's the real second White House. But I also mentioned about a AF alternate facility. AF1 doesn't always mean Air Force One. Okay. AF could mean alternate facility. We know there's one in Texas. We know there's one in Cheyenne. People have been talking about that. So anyway, but that just so happens to be brought up yesterday and today by Jack Smith and his investigators, saying they have those tapes about Mr. T talking on the phone with somebody, that he's got a classified document in his hands, and it had to do with Iran. And these anonymous sources claim that Milley had a private plan, a strategy to attack Iran. And that's what Mr. T was discussing from his property in Jersey, which I said was insulated and protected. Well, boom, here comes Jack Smith bringing that. Are they going to raid that property? Is that going to be when the gauntlet gets thrown down? Or is Trump tempting them again? All right, remember, he went to Jersey, and that's where he had that golf tournament. And I put that picture up where there's a big banner that said, "Don't blink." Real big, tall letters. And I'll put that up on one of my next broadcasts. And that's the day they went down there and went through Mar-a-Lago. So what's Trump doing now? Is he tempting them to go up there? Because each time they do something like that, somebody's got to sign off. Somebody's got to show their hand. And we still know that Biden's got 1,800 classified documents he's still arguing over and letting his lawyers go through and not turning over stuff he took when he wasn't even president. So it's going to be interesting. Now, this lawyer that approved the one down in Florida, he's not going to be involved in anything happening in Jersey. So we'll see. And I still am curious about this Jack person, what his last name is. But one thing I want to say about Trump detractors, people that think he should be in jail because he had classified documents. Let me tell you something. Oh, person who thinks that Trump committed a crime having classified documents. Please look at things from an intelligent perspective. Do you think if there's a classified document, there's only one piece of paper with that information on it? You don't think there's copies that people that have clearance can have and hold in their hands? Do you think there's a magic room at the White House where all classified documents have to be? Or that the librarian gets the most sensitive classified material? The librarian is the authority. And you think if this is to the I hate Mr. T person out there, do you think that when a president leaves office, that he has no duties or interactions ever again with the military or with the federal government as a former president? Of course he does. There are tape recordings of Eisenhower talking with Kennedy about the Bay of Pigs invasion. The president of the United States, after he leaves office, still has the highest clearance, except for the current president as an individual. Well, for people to believe that any president leaves office and has nothing but lint in their pockets, and they have nothing in their private office, they're not allowed to know anything or have any papers in their hands, is not using their brain. Former presidents are kept up to speed. They may be needed. They may be helpful in a consultation. They might remember something germane. They might need to refer to these classified documents in the future to help with a dire situation. The way the news puts it out and the way people who can't stand Trump eat it up like goldfish coming to the top of a bowl, eating flakes every time the news says Trump stole documents. You can't steal documents that you're supposed to have. Remember when John Brennan was giving Trump trouble and Trump said, I'm going to take his security clearance? And people kicked and fussed and fought. And I bet you he's got his security clearance to this day. John Brennan, who pushed the phony Russia collusion. And I guarantee you he's got classified documents in his possession because he has clearance. There isn't one piece of paper that, what do you think? People running around in a military vehicle to everybody that needs to read it? There's electronic copies, there's hard copies. So this juvenile narrative that people are believing that Trump shouldn't have any classified documents is foolish. It's foolish that the news puts it out. It's foolish that these politicians put it out and these criminals in the bureaucratic regime put it out. Don't be a fool. This is all being played out. That piece of bait is on a string, and Trump is dragging it, and they're all running like little chickens and or whatever after this piece of bait, and they're going to go right into the trap. You watch and see what I'm saying. But that's not to say that they're not dangerous, and they will do anything it takes. Brandon took another trip, Ian says. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, try to get your food local if you can. Local if you can. Make a friend with a farmer. Be a friend to a farmer. Or know where they have farmers markets. In the summertime, you get to shake hands and talk to people. That's right, Gary. When they're being stepped down or removed. But the letter, the 17 letter said people who have resigned have submitted and will do as they're told. Plus, what we're doing is we're drawing out, they're losing their henchmen, and then so they got to come out personally. They don't have any flunkies. We're getting their flunkies. You wouldn't think that out of Utah, would you, Outlandish? Trying to ban the Bible out of schools. So anyway, I'm sure there's an easier way if you have a friend that says, yeah, Trump should, not as rambunctious as, or as my dad used to say, not as animated a way as I described it. But if somebody says, yeah, Trump is, they catch him with documents, you could very plainly say every president keeps a high level of clearance. There's more than one copy of documents. They're supposed to have them. Everybody with certain levels of clearance have classified documents in their possession. They're allowed to as long as it's secure. And this whole thing is being drummed up for what? Election interference. Now that I can talk about it. They want Trump because they know Trump is going to get them. And they've got to do something. And when he was on Hannity last night, he said, hey, I got to fight back. And Hannity said, well, why don't you just tone it down a little bit? And he said exactly what I figured he'd say. We don't have time to be nice to people that are either purposefully behaving in a harmful way or are stupid. We don't have time. If somebody comes to me and says something about classified documents, I will just say what I said. Every single president is still involved with the government and has to be kept up to date on classified information. They can't take away Trump's security clearance. He's entitled to access to those documents. And the main reason they want them, everybody in the chats know it. I know it. Everybody in the chats know it. Because he's going to let stuff out they don't want to let get out about Kennedy and 911 for starters. For starters. That's another thing is going to start dawning on people. That's right, Red. Except for Jimmy Carter. He didn't get one of those little notes everybody got at the funeral. Jimmy Carter. Oh, that's right, Hilarious. He's taking care of the documents for us. They are not going to hide them away for people not to be able to see. Did I hear about the children's choir at the Capitol being shut down? No, when singing the anthem. No, I didn't hear that, Donna. But it wouldn't surprise me. But I did hear about Nancy Pelosi walking down the hallway like she was starring in an action movie with her daughter filming her. Just checking the comments. Well, I tell you, they were talking about the security cameras at Mar-a-Lago. Let me see, where is that? Mar-a-Lago employee who helped move boxes of documents last June has been questioned about his conduct weeks later related to a government demand for surveillance footage from Donald Trump's property, according to a person familiar with the federal probe of former president's handling of classified material. Now, back when the Mar-a-Lago raid occurred, I said that they probably had, and it was confirmed later on from another source, they had fiber optic cameras. And I discussed those a couple of days ago. They're tiny. If you had a fiber optic Christmas tree, you remember they're, kind of like a little piece of fishing line. But they can carry a heck of a lot of information. And they also collect sound, okay? Audio and a good quality picture. But so they thought, the cameras were off. Those regular cameras probably been there since the 70s, the kinds Columbo was using. But those fiber optic ones, nah. And they're probably everywhere. And they are very hard to see. So the employees' actions in June and July have caught the attention of special counsel Jack Smith's investigators as they try to determine whether Trump or people close to him sought to obstruct justice in the face of a grand jury subpoena to return all documents marked classified or lied about what he had. So, yeah, we'll see how this hashes out. I want to see if they go up to Bedminster. If they go up to Bedminster, New Jersey. Hi, Christina. How you doing? Hi, Melinda. Deborah said, truth be told, I believe it's an excuse to raid his place. That's right. I saw Gary said he thought they were looking for something else. Oh, they look for anything they get their hands on, but they definitely don't want him to declassify stuff. That the only purpose to keep it classified would be to stop embarrassment to the government or stop anyone from the American people learning about crimes by the government, which is it's unlawful to classify documents just for those purposes. And so, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. But it's like Mr. T said, when you get Joe Biden's documents out of Chinatown and everywhere else, he said you're going to find some nuggets in there. And I meant to bring that up. I know somebody else, I think it was Kash Patel, used the term nuggets. I found that interesting. That's right. They better stay out of Bedminster, but Trump might be tempting him up there, you know. He's had 2 years since he got out of the White House and 6 years since he moved the operations from Trump Towers to Bedminster. So if he's baiting them, I mean, see, when he's on the phone, I think it was the New York Post or the New York Times said that a person familiar with the tapes, that heard the tapes, said Trump was saying things like, I have this piece of paper that's classified in my hands. I'm at Bedminster, and I could classify them if I was still president, but since I'm not president, I can't declassify them. You know, come on. Trump knows what the deal is. When he's on the phone, he knows who can have access and who can't. So, and the person he's talking to on the other end. So he could have been putting that out there like a big old piece of bait for them to make a move. Oh yeah, Ian, it was a totally staged setup. And people are starting to see that now. Oh, John Solomon and 2 other reporters are the ones who have been given all the footage from J6 by Kevin McCarthy. Because there's something going on with Tucker that is kind of holding back, or the more the merrier, right? So already I saw somebody reporting on Truth Social that Russian media is putting out video of Hunter Biden's laptop. How did they get that? How did they get that? Something else the FBI failed to keep classified. That's right. Whistleblowers are coming out every day. She threw the sandbag in front of him, Diane. Oh, I think one of my broadcasts, I'm going to take some screenshots of comments I found interesting. And I'm not going to, if somebody says something different than what I think, I'm just going to, I'll blot out people's names and read the comments and discuss them. But I did have somebody was very defensive of Phil Godlewski. And they said, well, he's got 10 million followers for a reason. And, was nice defending him, I would say. And I feel bad for people like that. I really do. And they were saying something like they'd never heard him say some of the things I was apparently saying. So I'm going to get that video again of him running around telling people to get off the roads tonight right away. Right away is very important, very dangerous. And until midnight, get off the roads. I'll play that for you and play for everybody. and more of his nonsense. So that's one comment I wanted to address. And another one was a comment where somebody said nothing's happening but memes, nothing ever, I don't know why people feel that way, because compared to 2016, when everybody, including Viva Frey, Salty Cracker, all these people thought Hillary was going to win up until the day of the election, and nobody really realized how dangerous a environment we would have been in if she had won, and how much things have changed since that night that she lost. How much criminality we've exposed. And it wouldn't be exposed if we didn't have the upper hand. So, yeah, there's stuff happening every day. And there will be more whistleblowers. And, that is going to be like Marjorie Taylor Greene told, she said it, if there's anybody who wants to come forth with the truth, now is the time. The next day, a bunch of whistleblowers read that signal. It meant, hey, you want to keep your hands clean and tell the truth? Now's the time to do it, because if you don't do it now, we're going to think you're part of it. I saw a report that one guy was doing. I'm going to see if I can get a clip of that and play it. The ladies of perpetual indulgence who went to the LA Dodgers after they got disinvited and then got reinvited, that were drag nuns, bashing the Catholic Church, well, any Christians really. Turns out that one of the members of that group works for the board on the LA Dodgers. I'll get their name. And see if I can find a photo of them. That's the kind of stuff we got to get rid of. We're crushing it as far as Bud Light and Target and anybody else that pokes their head up. They're down now. They were down $10 billion. $10 billion. Bud Light. But where's that article? I'm looking for it. There we go. $10 billion 4 days ago. Guess how far they're down now? Anybody got an idea? They were down 10 billion 4 days ago after about a week and a half. Now they're up to 2 weeks. You saw that Phil G video live? That's right, the ESG scored. What we've got to do is, how are these banks have the gall to give favorable lending policies to people who engage in that ESG, WOKE garbage? They're involved. They get federal support. They get federal insurance. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anybody that knowingly pushes stuff targeting children, and I don't mean that as a joke to Target company, but just like they did with Joe Camel with cigarettes back in the 90s, But anybody that is knowingly pushing that stuff on kids, there's laws in place concerning that stuff, and publishing these books and promoting these books that have the equivalent of child prawn in them. These people need to go to jail. They need to be arrested if they violating existing law. It doesn't matter how many slogans people have been putting up with, or how many different ways, like Fauci saying, well, it wasn't gain of function. It was, he thinks of some other name that sounds scientific. Well, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and you broke the law, buddy, waddle yourself to jail. Or in some cases, worse, like with Fauci. He's just a matter of time. A lot of them are a matter of time. But anyway, they're down 27 billion. $27 billion. The stock of Bud Light parent Anheuser-Busch has lost a walloping, this is from Newsmax, a walloping $27 billion in market value since ill-fated partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. It was reported. So that's going to be dead as a brand. Speaking of dead as a brand, Michael Flynn put out a truth. DeSantis needs to be smart and soon. This could be the end of his political career. He campaigned to be the governor of Florida for the next 4 years. Be the governor instead of committing political suicide. Put the nation first instead of your establishment ego. So you see where General Flynn is putting it out there, where he's basically just what I think this whole DeSantis running operation is, defining a conservative and a rhino, defining it for the greater populace, okay? Just like they're going to be defining a liberal in the Democrat Party versus a radical leftist. And we had rhinos take over our party, and the liberals had radical leftists take over theirs. Know thine enemy. You got to identify them. And that's what is being done now. And here's a little article from Just the News about Pelosi evacuating Hollywood style from the Capitol while her daughter films. John Solomon shows former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi exiting the Capitol building on J6 with her daughter Alexandria Pelosi, acting like she's Martin Scorsese. And don't you know that Lori Lightfoot, Harvard, she hadn't even got all her pencils out of her desk, and Harvard Law School hires her, I guarantee you, for some big fat money. Now, see, Harvard is, as far as I'm concerned, is a communist institution. It's communist. And Trump said that $40 billion endowment they've got, which is probably more, I know is more now, is going to be looked at very strongly. And he already said that in some cases, those endowments are going to be subject to confiscation. I played that video where he was talking about higher learning being subversive to the government and to the Constitution. And there is going to be a price to pay for that. Subversive. Everybody uses the T word, Treason. Okay? Well, not every case is, where you're going to be dragging thousands of people out. Subversion is another one where people go away for 10 years. I mean, Tokyo Rose, She's very famous being on the radio, talking propaganda and garbage. Um, she got 10 years and she was out in like 5, So, of course, that was kind of laughable, really. Tokyo Rose, hey, Joe, your girlfriend messing around on you. A lot of you remember that Tokyo Rose stuff. But Lord Haw Haw, if you ever get a chance, you can look up YouTube videos on Lord Haw Haw, Hawhaw. Look what happened to him. He was a propagandist for the against the British government. So it all depends. And they used the term on a news report I heard today. I think it was Fox News. No, it was Robert Cavoya was talking about the Bedminster telephone conversation where Jack Smith was trying to determine the mens res, the meaning of the action as far as Trump is concerned. And I went over an hour before I even mentioned that this is a viewer-supported and creator-supported channel only. I don't get any help from anybody, and I have a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee. And what reminded me is I just got a notice. Let me see what it says. That's a text message, and then okay, Gary, thank you, Gary. Gary's a heavy hitter. He stepped up and helped the channel out big time. Thank you, Gary. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody that's helped. I'll put everybody out. I had a night before last, I had somebody buy me a coffee, was a new person. Let me see. A newbie I never saw before. But now I'm looking for him in the show tonight. Love to garden. Okay. And then Gary helped me out before that and helped me out tonight. Thank you, Gary, again. Lone Wolf helped. Aaron. Awaken Trillium. Lone Wolf. Camperman. And Tanya. This was all last week. So I appreciate it. And there's everybody on the screen that's helped me. And I appreciate it very much. So as I was saying, Georgia said, if we spent our summer growing our own food, buying from local farmers, and staying out of the big retailers, that's my plan. Amen, Georgia. Now, Gary's up in Alaska, so he's got to do something else. But I don't know, Gary, they got what y'all do up there, because it gets dark for a long time in Alaska. But that is true. You got to make a friend with a farmer and go to farmers markets. Well, I've got a grocery store where they got their own butcher, and they've always got nice cuts of pork chops. They've always got beef, very good prices. Like, one day was $2.39 a pound, and it's not sprayed with a bunch of red dye to make it look red, or injected with water. When you cook your hamburger, the pan isn't full of water. Have you ever noticed that? When does beef have a bunch of water in it? So they inject that stuff in there to get the weight up. They've always done that with oysters and seafood. Pack it full of water. When you squeeze the water out, you ain't got nothing. So anyway, Comer wins. The FBI relents and agrees to deliver subpoenaed memo alleging bribery to the Capitol. So we'll see what happens with that. I didn't think they were going to put Christopher Wray in jail. Here's one thing I did want to say about Christopher Wray. I've said that he's a marker. It's been said he's a marker, and a lot of people said, feel he's a sleeper. Okay. People can read what they want to in those terms, but the facts are that he was appointed by Mr. T. Bob Mueller came and interviewed for the job. An FBI director can serve by statute 10 years. Bob Mueller served 12 because he got a 2-year special dispensation. He interviewed with Trump to head up the FBI. They say was the purpose of the Trump-Mueller meeting, which I don't believe. I think Mueller is playing a role. Now, whether it's because they twisted his arm up behind his back, or once a Marine, always a Marine, which he was, a Marine. Mueller, he may have been heading up, well, the day after he interviewed with Trump and didn't get the FBI position, the day after he got appointed as special counsel against Trump, and Trump put in Christopher Wray. And guess what? Christopher Wray was in the private sector. And you know how much his salary was a year? Once I tell you, if you don't know, ask yourself, who would give up that kind of salary to be those kind of wages to become a salaried FBI guy, head of the FBI, unless it was to serve their country? I'll see if anybody guesses how much Christopher Wray was making in the private sector per year before Mr. T put him in. Ha ha! Thank you, Gary. Gary says, I got the moose in the freezer and I've got the fish in the freezer, good to go. Well, I guarantee I wanted to design something where your freezer, like you have a vent in your kitchen when you're cooking, you cut the vent on and it blows cold air. Your cooking air, smoke and everything out there, right? Well, imagine having a freezer against the wall that had a vent. And if it got down below freezing, instead of the refrigerator cutting on, a fan would bring cold air from the outside into the refrigerator. Your fridge would never cut on in the winter, especially in Alaska. Just an idea. Give me a cut if you patent that. Give me a cut. So Nikki said 400,000. Diane said 300,000. Simpson said like 2 million. Georgia said 300,000. Wanda said 1 million. Every guess is too low. Every guess is too low. So I'll let it roll for a little bit. I'll pull that article up. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Elon operation. The Elon operation and what is a woman? We just saw a PSYOP, a successful PSYOP, get done in a matter of days. And that's the way it rolls. Let me see. I'm looking for that article. And somebody else put I think it was the Washington Post or someone of those idiot AP or somebody like that put an article about Clarence Thomas and his wife acting like they were going to tell. It was NP National Public Radio, I think it was. They acted like they were going to describe how Clarence Thomas and his wife came up from nothing. When you read the headline, but when you read the story, they talk about a billionaire that was giving them money and how that needs to be looked at by Congress. So they're all trying to attack today's victim would be, if they could get away with it, the Supreme Court. And I'll get into Supreme Court stuff. I don't know if I go live tomorrow, I'll go Sunday. But anyway, and I will see if I can pull that article up. But I'll tell you from my memory how much he made. Gary got it right. He just said it right the second I said I was going to tell it. Jersey Joe said 10 million. I saw that, and then back, Gary put up the magic number. He was making $9 million a year. Now, why would he give that up when Donald Trump picked up the phone? No, I'm not a ginger. Georgia, you saw me one time, honey. He was doing something in the private sector to get that kind of money. Gary said he gave it up for power. I don't know. I think he is. He wasn't a deep state pick. He was Donald Trump's pick. I think he was in banking and securities. Well, I got to put a picture of what I found underneath the hood of that tractor. Jiminy crickets. I see Red talking about my tractor. So we'll see, though. That's the thing about it all. We will see, folks. We're in this amazing time. This is truly amazing. I mean, think of the decades of looking at the news and the same old BS, and we're thinking every time we're getting ourselves pumped up, that America's doing better or things are going to get better. How you doing, Tennessee? And gosh, can remember how we were like, oh my gosh, we got to get out there and stump for McCain because Obama's a communist, because Hannity was telling us about everything about Obama's grandfather being a member of the Communist Party, and Michael Ayers, all that stuff. And little did we know what kind of person McCain was. And then getting our hopes up for Romney. It was all a game, setting it up for the Wicked Witch to come in 2016. How did you know? How did you know, Georgia? How did you know it was a snake? I'll put a picture of it. Might not have been one. That's when I said, "Where's Sadie when you need her?" Where's Sadie when you need her? I don't want her messing with something like that anyway. She's ferocious, man. Unless I catch her on the counter, then she knows, man. She's gonna get her backside tanned. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Gary. There's no harm in hitting that like button. So let me see what else I had here. So we're going to find out about Christopher Wray. And he went right to the edge. He went right to the edge with that. I'll have to watch that little story on Chris Wray. But anyway, and if you get a chance to watch, well, I'll put a copy of the thumbnail up next video that I do. They had another big bust in Florida. That sheriff I keep forgetting his name though. I don't know why that is. A lot of you all know in the chats, and I put him up before. He's got another PORN case where he busted a bunch of people there in Florida. Another Disney worker. What's the title of this? Full press conference. Grady Judd. There he is. Grady Judd on, quote, horrific child PRN bust. 8, including Disney employee arrested. So it's about a 25-minute video. It's on Fox 13, Tampa Bay YouTube, and I'll put the thumbnail up the next one I do. But he's been busting so many of them and doing big drug busts and everything else. Oh, what happened with Elon Musk? Everybody got upset because he put the movie What is a Woman to where people couldn't share it. I'm trying to find that tweet from Elon Musk. People couldn't share it, and it really throttled that movie back. And that movie's been out for a while, but it was going to be like a premiere for a certain number of hours. People could tune into that movie for free. And people got really mad at Elon Musk. But he kind of stood his ground. He just said, "Oh, it's not something we're going to be putting forward in our rhythm." But then here it is. He went a couple of days. And now he did have a policy where if you put a link in that took people off of Twitter, that they did not put that in the feed, where it would, like if it went viral and took people out of Twitter, you could lose 3, 4, 5 million people because of one thing. So he said, no links to outside sources. So he was following his own rule. People are saying, he's censoring What is a Woman, that Matt Walsh movie. What is a woman? See, things are just the way they always used to be. But somebody posted here, I think it was Clandestine. Do you remember in the 80s when they put the parental advisory label on CDs to prevent kids from buying them? The taboo label creates an inverse effect, drawing more attention to the subject. The Streisand effect is powerful. So Elon Musk quietly, put out one tweet saying we're not going to put this in the feed, and you can't share it, just like he did with everything else that takes you to another link. And then he was quiet. Everybody started raising Cain about it. So Elon Musk did what's called the Streisand effect. Now everyone is talking about what is a woman. And he put out a tweet that said the Streisand effect on this will set an all-time record. So he put that out. There was an internal issue at Twitter. Elon quickly acknowledged it was being fixed. When in 24 hours the issue was resolved, Streisand effect took place, and Elon sent 141 million sets of eyes to the documentary. If you've never seen the documentary of What is a Woman. So they did this, it's called a takeaway. You tell people they can't have something. It's an old sales trick. You're trying to sell something to somebody, you say, no, you can't have this. You can't afford it. Or some, use something like that. People always want what they can't have. So anyway, Elon put a tweet out that said, every parent should watch this. And the Daily Wire said, it's the movie they really don't want you to see. What is a Woman? So I've seen excerpts from that, and it's brilliantly done. It is not done in a way that attacks people. there's interviews with people who've been down that road, okay, that tried to quote transition. And unfortunately, a lot of them are people that did not know better, and their parents should have known better, but didn't. And some of it's heartbreaking, but it's things the American people need to see. And I am so glad because I was kind of sticking up for Elon Musk yesterday. I was like, well, he's always said that you can't put stuff up that's going to draw people away. But the way they've done the links now, you can stay on Twitter. And it's all worked out, and it's cost a lot of buzz. So let me see. The forbidden fruit. That's right, Georgia. Yeah, outlandish. He put it up there. Oh my gosh, red. I never knew. Hard to see Disney go down. Yeah, I mean, it was the Magic Kingdom. I said in past comments that I mean, past broadcasts that there are uh, so many good people that work for Disney, talented artists, and I tell you, if you work at one of those parks, you work your backside off. And, you know, a lot of people rely on that company for jobs. A lot of people really did some beautiful work. I mean, they weren't all satanic artists and wasn't all, I mean, there was magic in what Disney used to do. And we'll see how that turns out. You know, I mean, can can the magic of childhood be saved? Uh, you know, stories that help children, entertain children, like the 101 Dalmatians and Lady and the Tramp and things like that. You know that, boy, I tell you, you know, they would pack out theaters and everybody was not stressed out, relaxed. The kids were asleep in the car on the way home, and you know, they had book bags and lunch boxes. Not that they have lunch boxes anymore, but hopefully that'll all come back. So we'll see. You know, we'll see. We want to preserve the America. Let red explorers unexplore America. Give them some ideas. Check his channel out. I told everybody, Red, and I put a picture up of the Beverly Hillbillies truck. It's a 1921 Oldsmobile, and you need to go down there and sit in it and dress like Jed. Ha ha ha. Over the past few years, 200 Pete 3DOs and affiliated with Disney. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And Facebook too. We had that one video where that top executive with Facebook got caught on a sting. So yeah. So the bottom line with what's going on with Elon, Clandestine put out, it's been 7 months since Elon carried the sink into Twitter headquarters. Since then, there has been, capital letters, a colossal shift in public perception. Citizen journalism is erupting. Thus, the mainstream media are unable to maintain their monopoly on perceived reality. It wasn't an accident, it was the objective. It was the objective. So now we know why Kash Patel, what he was saying, that Elon Musk got the most money from the Defense Department. And propaganda is a weapon. They used the Defense Department money to help Elon Musk buy one of the biggest bullhorns for their propaganda and pull their plug and plug us all in to the bullhorn. It was done through Department of Defense money, just like we found out how Mike Lindell can keep on going, even though everybody's trying to kick him out of his stores. Bed Bath and Beyond went into the Beyond way before Mike Lindell did. They kicked him out of the stores, and now they're going bankrupt. But we found out from Mr. T that he got the defense contract, and I'd venture to say into the exclusive contract with the Department of Defense to supply pillows, blankets, and other sundries to our armed forces, and it's probably written as solid as granite, and Biden can't get out of it. So Mike Lindell's doing fine, but we got to keep supporting him. Anyway, folks, you see what I missed in the comments. Jerry Lee said, Diesel is evil from the beginning. Well, there were good movies like I just mentioned. And there are good people. It's a huge company. You're going to have good people in a company. It's just the people that wheedle their way into top positions and corrupt a good company. All right, guys, Nikki's going to bed, and I got to go to bed too. I'll tell you what, I appreciate y'all spending your precious time with me, and I'll be coming up soon. I might go live tomorrow. I don't know, maybe Sunday, but hit the subscribe. I know 30% was not subscribed. If you hit the notifications, you'll know when I go live, and hit the like button if you think about it on the way out. If you have not, please do. It helps the video to get around. And you all have a great night, and I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.